Hi there, everyone, and welcome to Paper Wishes Weekly Webisodes. I'm Sarah Newman, and I'm excited to bring you the 11th episode of Mixed Media, The Paper Wishes Way. Today we're going to be playing with texture paste and foil, and this is one of my favorite ways to add a touch of texture and shine to my cards. Now we're going to be working with Ranger's texture paste plus foil from Wow Embossing, and we're going to combine these with the Distress Splatter Brush. Now this is going to give us a beautiful tactile effect on our cards. Not only will you have the shine of the foil, you'll also have the effect of the texture paste on here as well. So I have 3 projects to share with you today, and these cards will use papers from the Lace and Roses paper pack. Now this has 12 coordinating designs in 12-inch by 12-inch size. They're double-sided and they have beautiful soft patterns with a lot of yellow and cream and pink. And these colors match perfectly with the butter and the lilac ephemera packs from 49 and Market. We also have coordinating washi strips in the lilac and also in butter as well. So we're going to be playing with all of these, coordinating perfectly together to create some really fun card projects. So as you can see, we have a lot to explore, and I'm really glad you're joining us. So come play with us. Let's take a closer look at the foil from Wow. Now we've done a couple of mixed media webisodes on this foil already, and you can look back at mixed media episodes 1, 2, 3, and 4 in particular. So we're building on what we've learned, but adding in a different medium of texture paste. So just a quick recap on the Wow foils. These are a great way to add color and shine, and you really get a super value. It's one of my favorite mixed media supplies. Now each fab foil pack will have the foil wrapped around a piece of cardstock to keep it clean and flat, and it's really easy to store as well. Now it looks like you just get a little bit when you're looking at the front of the package, but as you can see as I'm unwinding this, there is actually so much foil on one of these little cards. Now the foil is 4 inches wide and it's 1 meter long, which is a little over 3 feet. That's a lot of foil, and that will last you a good long time. And with the texture paste technique, we're really only going to use a little bit. So that's what I mean by it being a super value. Now, Paper Wishes has a lot of foil colors, and today we're going to play with just 4 of them. So we have the spearmint, we have purple, we have ice blue, and we have glitter gold, which I have just a little tiny scrap left of this because I've been using this so much. There are a lot of ways to apply the foil to your project, and in previous webisodes we talked about using glue. Double-sided tape, white glue, and even glue stick. Now this time we're going to use our texture paste, which will give us the combination of actual texture as well as foil. Now I'm going to move these aside and show you some little swatches here so you can see what I mean by texture and foil. When I tilt these, you can see the shine of the foil. I use the spearmint here and the ice blue here on the black cardstock. If you could touch this, you would be able to feel the lumps and bumps of the texture paste as well. So this is giving us not only the color, also the pattern of that spattering, and it's also giving us a bit of tactileness, if that's a word. Okay, so we're going to take a look at how easy this is to apply. So I'm going to move these aside and bring in just 2 pieces of regular cardstock, black and white. Now I'm going to be using my Distress Splatter Brush for this. You can see I use this for lots of techniques, so why not use it with the texture paste as well? I'm going to take some of my texture paste and I'm just going to decant a little bit here onto my craft sheet. And a craft sheet is kind of a must-have for this technique because it will get a little bit messy. I'm using a palette knife to sort of smooth this out into a flat puddle here on my craft sheet. If you don't have a palette knife, any kind of plastic knife will do the trick too. Now, texture paste has a nice consistency to it, and I'm using the Ranger Opaque Texture Paste. If you want to, you can thin it with water. I'm just using it straight from the jar though. I'm going to take my splatter brush and dip this into the texture paste. You can see on here I've got it at the end of my bristles. And then I'm just going to spatter this. So as I pull back on the bristles, I'm going to be able to splatter this here. Now, if I want larger drops, you can see this is kind of a fine misting. If I want larger drops, I can kind of smack the bristles of this splatter brush and really get some larger, blobbier areas here. So wherever we've got that texture paste, that's where the foil is going to go. So I'm going to take a piece of the spearmint and I'm going to put that onto my black cardstock. And I'm going to smooth this down. And then I'll take some of that ice blue and put this down also onto my white piece of cardstock. Really want to make sure to smooth these down. And then what I like to do too sometimes is I'll put an acrylic block or maybe the base piece of my die cutting machine, something heavy on top, because you really want to make sure that the foil is making contact with the texture paste on there. Then you just need to let it dry. Now, it depends on the kind of humidity in the area where you live, how warm it is in your craft room. Usually I leave this for about 15 minutes. You can leave it for longer if you want to. So what I'm going to do is set these aside, and I've got some pieces that I've already prepared. So let's take a look. I've got my spearmint on black cardstock and my ice blue on white. So now I'm just going to pull this off, and you can see where that beautiful shine is on there. Now I know it can be a little tricky to see the white texture paste on the white. So let's take a look at it. The green, the spearmint on black. Take a look at that. It's so pretty. So you'll notice that not all of the texture paste has gotten some of the foiling on it. So you're able to get kind of 2 layers in one go, which is really nice. So the larger blobs, of course, more of the foil has stuck in there, but that really fine misting is still white, which gives us some really pretty options. And I love that it creates a really soft and beautiful effect if you're going for tone on tone, but you can get some nice high contrast on here as well. Okay, so now that we've seen how easy this is, let's take a look at some card projects. This card features the glitter gold applied onto pattern paper. Now let's look again at the glitter gold as it comes in the package, because when you look at it on the sheet, it looks really, really glittery. But when you combine it with this texture paste technique, you can get an effect that is super subtle. And I love having the option to go either high shine, high glitter, or soft and subtle, just from one product. Now, as you can see here on the larger areas, you will get some of that glitter texture and shine more than this fine detailing area over here. So the bigger the splattered blobs you create, the more glitter and the more shine you will see. So here I've applied the texture paste to the pattern paper, and this is from the Lace and Roses paper pack. The flowers at the top are printed onto this piece of pattern paper, and I've just accented the space between them with a strip of washi tape. So let's look at the washi tape. These are washi strips. This is the Butter Washi Strip collection from 49 and Market, and you'll have 7 different designs with 2 sheets included. So washi strips are like washi tape. It's a low-tack tape that's slightly translucent. So I'm going to move aside this package and bring in a piece that I've trimmed down. I'm going to move aside my card and bring in 2 pieces from the Lace and Roses paper pack. And I'm just going to take some of this washi tape. Now you can cut this, you can tear it as well if you want to, but I wanted to show you with that translucency, if I put this down onto the yellow pattern paper, you're still able to see some of that white patterning down on there through the translucent washi tape. If I put this down on pink, you're going to get a different effect. So lots of different looks that you can achieve from this, just depending on what kind of paper you put it onto. So here I've put the washi tape onto a strip of white cardstock and then just trim top and bottom. So I have a little bit of a border. Now doing that allows me to have a piece that I can put wherever I want it to go. So I can kind of place it down. And here I've got it lifted up on a little bit of foam tape so that I'm also able to incorporate some embellishments from the Butter Ephemera pack. Now let me bring this in as well. This is fantastic. This set is loaded with tons of really great pattern paper embellishments. So you've got frames, you've got tickets, you've got like library cards, small, medium, and large size. Lots of really cool things in here. And of course, they're all designed to coordinate with the butter washi strips too. So I've basically built my design onto this piece of Rose's pattern paper. Then I've wrapped it with a yellow baker's twine and glued the whole piece to the card front. So I've also added some ephemera down here. I've got some dazzles up here at the top and the bottom, some little dazzles kind of peeking out from this collaged area down here as well. And it all coordinates so nicely with that glitter gold. Now for the inside of the card, you can see here, I added more of the ephemera, and I've also got a strip here, just a strip that I've trimmed off from another project with the glitter gold kind of going along the edges too. I've got another dazzle word and some little heart accents on here too. So this is our first card showing how to use the glitter gold with that texture paste. Let's take a look at another example. Another way to do the texture paste technique is directly onto the washi tape. So here I've adhered strips of washi tape from the lilac washi strip set onto white cardstock, and then I spattered the texture paste pretty heavily on top. Now I placed the purple foil on top and got this really cool effect. So if you could touch this, you would feel that I have the smoothness of the washi tape. I also have some texture from that texture paste, plus I have the shine of the foil, and this is just a really great mixed media combination. Not only do I have lots of different colors, but I've also got some cool different textures on here too. So let's take a look at this. Now I've got some strips from the butter washi tape collection just adhered onto plain white cardstock. And you can see I've left a little bit of white in between each of those strips just to provide a little bit of balance and kind of create a larger piece, if you will. Now remember, the strips that you're getting in the package are much larger than this. I just trimmed them down, and you can do that easily with a pair of scissors. Okay, so again, I'm going to grab some of my texture paste here and put a little bit onto my palette, onto my craft mat here using my palette knife. Now, one thing I forgot to mention earlier, when you are done with your palette knife and your brush, you do want to wipe this off with a baby wipe or a towel or something like that, just to make sure that you keep that nice and clean. As you can see on my palette knife, I didn't quite get to it in time, so I've got a lot kind of stuck on there, but that's okay. All right, I'm going to take my brush again, and once again, just dab this right into my texture paste. And I'm going to spatter this pretty heavily on here. So I'm going to make sure that I get some nice big areas. I'm quite close to the surface as I'm spattering this. I can see already I've got some nice big blobs there. Okay, I'm going to kind of clean this up from my craft sheet. And then I'm going to put down some of the spearmint foil. Same process as before. Always make sure that you are putting the foil with the colored side up. Smooth this down, and then once again I'm going to put an acrylic block or something on top of this and really let that set. Now again, I've got another piece that I've already got prepared for us, so now it's time for the big reveal. Before I do that though, I want to point out you can probably see that there are some bald patches here on this piece of foil. So when I get done with a piece of foil, I reuse it again and again until there's no color left on here. So let's take a look. When I pull this off, and give it just a gentle tug, you'll see that I've got some really cool splatters, some shine, some texture. I've got some of those white texture paste bumps on there, but also just some really cool color and shine. So easy to do. And again, probably about 15 minutes, let that dry and you will be ready to go. Now, in fact, earlier in the webisode, we were doing our black and white pieces of cardstock. And again, this has been sitting by my clock about 20 minutes, so a little bit more than necessary. But when I pull this off, take a look, how cool is that? And then here it is on the white as well. So these were the pieces that I splattered at the very beginning of today's webisode. Take a look. How cool is that? I just love this. And I love it on the darker colors as well. It gives some really nice contrast. Okay, so getting back to our card with our washi strips on here, for the rest of the card you can see I've created an overlapping collage here in the center using pieces of the ephemera. Now the ephemera is from the Lilac ephemera set. I also added some ribbon and a Dazzles word. I've got some foam tape going on under here under a couple of the pieces too, just to give a little bit more dimension. Now on the inside, I have this piece here that's got some foil that looks like it's kind of streaked on, and this is another technique you can do with the splatter brush. So let me show you this process. I'm going to bring in a piece of this ephemera, and I'm going to get my brush out of my dirty water bucket, just kind of get some of the excess off here. And again, just put some of my texture paste onto my craft mat. And then I'm just going to take the brush and I'm going to kind of streak this on here. So I'm not spattering, I'm dragging a couple of different directions. And then let's see, I'm going to take this blue, which as you can see also has some bald patches on it too, and just pop this down. Same process as before, then I can let that sort of set up. Once again, grab a block or something heavy to put on top of that and just let that set to dry. And then once that is dry, you will have something that looks like this. So you can see that there's a difference in the pattern. It's got some direction going to it. So not just spattering, you can also use some different methods with your Distress Splatter Brush. Okay, so this one is quick, easy, and a lot of fun to do with the washi tape. Let's take a look at one more possibility. This card has two colors of foil on this piece of ephemera. I've used ice blue and spearmint together. Now this technique is a great way to get a pop of color on an otherwise fairly tone-on-tone design. So you can see the rest of my card is quite neutral. I've got some nice soft beige and cream colors in here, some gold from the Dazzles, but it's also nice to get just that pop of color, which coordinates so beautifully with the ribbon that I've used on here as well. Quick and easy to do. So let me show you. Now here I've got a piece of the ephemera where I've foiled with the spearmint. So everything is foiled and ready to go. What I can do now, once again, grab a little bit of my texture paste. You don't need to have a whole lot. Pop that down onto my craft mat. Take my brush and once again, spatter this on here. Now I can do some overlapping where the rest of that foil is, or I can sort of avoid that if I want to. And then grab my second color of foil. And again, this one has some little bald spots on it. That's okay. And I'm going to press this down as we've done before. And then let's see, where's my acrylic block? Pop this on top. And then we'll go set this one aside. I'm going to kind of mop this up and bring in a piece that I have that's already foiled. And let's pull this off and take a look. So there you can see I've not only got that beautiful spearmint, but I have that really gorgeous ice blue. One of my favorite color combinations and such a great, easy way to do this. Now, I'm going to bring back in my original card and we can talk about the rest of the design here. So you can see I've once again used some more of the ephemera. Now this is from the Lilac ephemera kit. And I've got some of the same elements between the two, the butter and the lilac. Now the one piece that I love that both of those packs share is this butterfly. So it comes on a larger piece that looks like this, and I just trimmed out that butterfly and then mounted it on with a little bit of foam tape, leaving the wings so that they can be lifted up if you want to. Then I've got some blue silk ribbon, just kind of top and bottom. I've got a little bit tucked under here and then a nice big fluffy bow down at the bottom. I have a strip of washi tape from the Lilac washi strips as a border going alongside here. Got my Dazzles going on here and then one up on one of these little tabs. This is lifted up on foam tape, as is this entire piece here. Again, a little bit of extra dimension. Now on the inside, I've got another Dazzle sentiment and a little bit more of the ephemera going on as well. Now before we wrap up, I do just want to bring back in that piece we did just a few minutes ago. by way of video. So this is the streaking effect that I did with the Distress Splatter Brush. So I thought I'd just pull this off so we can take a look. You can see how you're able to get a different patterning effect on this. And again, that was the blue one that we just applied. Here's one that I did earlier in the day. I wanted to kind of show this one to you too. It's always fun to do the reveal. This is also a streaky effect with that brush, but take a look at how much more foil you're able to get. So you can really go quite soft and subtle, or you can do something bolder with a little bit more work with the texture paste, and just depending on how you use your splatter brush. Either way will do the trick. So with this last card, I think we've seen just how this simple combination can be used to add texture, color, and shine to your cards. And yes, we will have even more webisodes coming up with even more texture paste techniques. Thank you so much for joining me today, and thank you for being a part of the Paper Wishes family. We're so glad that you're here with us, and I can't wait to see what you create. Please do leave us a comment. We love to hear what you think. Each item can be purchased separately, and you can see them below. However, we've also bundled them into a creative money saver just for you. For the money saver, just see this webisode on paperwishes.com.